Hi there. So I had my fun with Megsey and her As Ever brand launch. I do know that we are waiting anxiously to see whether or not anybody actually gets any products. My opinion, my theory is that nobody actually will. I mean, yes, people, influencers handpicked by Megan will likely get some sort of something, but I think any normal people that managed to get an order through at whatever blocks Megsy had, I believe that those packages will get lost in transit or the order will be unable to fulfill due to lack of inventory. That's just my gut instinct that something's going to happen there. But we'll see. I mean, fingers crossed. I would love to get someone to do an honest review of her products. I'm curious, but I just don't see it happening. But in the meantime, let's get back to the important stuff. And so I want to talk a little bit more about the Sentabali situation. One thing that kind of strikes me right away is how ironic that Megan is trying so desperately to insert herself into those polo cup trophy presentation, whatever you want to call them, these award presentations. She's so determined to fit herself into them. How come each and every one of them is a freaking disaster? I mean, it's ridiculous. So let's go back. I wanted to do two other ones before we start talking about the one that involves Dr. Sophie, because we got a little bit more to say about this. So here we have Megsey handing out the Sentabali Cup trophy, and I'm wondering, did Harry actually win this tournament? I mean, Megan wants nothing to do with handing out the trophy to someone other than Harry. So even when he loses, she hands the freaking trophy over to him. She wants that photo that works out perfectly, that's just like Diana's, that's just like Catherine's. Problem is that she's just not able to do it. She's just not authentic enough to make that moment happen. I mean, Megsey is so desperate to get a photo, like one of these very real moments that, whether it's Diana or Catherine, she wants this kiss. She wants this photo that is going to become infamous, much like this one with Princess Diana and Prince Charles. She wants that picture. And so in trying to recreate that without the sincerity, without much of anything when it comes to Megsey, the problem is that they just turn into absolute and complete disasters. And it's just funny, to be quite honest, to watch, but you kind of feel bad for her. I mean, let's look at another one.
There you go. That's okay. Temporary guys, you get this to make sure the picture. Oh, yes.
It is what it is. There's Megan's unmitigated disastrous attempts at getting that polo kiss. But, of course, we know that the most infamous one, the one that we will all never forget, is the one with Dr. Sophie. And this, I'm sure this will come as no surprise to anyone, that this video, this film footage, is incredibly hard to find now. Of course, because Megan doesn't want it out there because she doesn't look good in it. But I did find it. I want to say thank you. Give credit to Murky Meg. I'm using her footage of the event because hers was the best one that I could find that actually just plays out the footage as it was without adding, circles or arrows or words or whatever. So I appreciate that. And I just wanted to make note that I did in fact get this from Murky Meg's video.
Beautiful trophy. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, put your hands together for everybody. Well done, JMR, and Super Sussex, the Baltic Castle, and Mr. Malcolm Morris. And of course, big thanks to the Duchess and Sussex for presenting the trophy. Once again, I want to thank everyone who's been a part of such and played such a big part of the meeting today. Thank you very much, Andrew Tucker, for putting on such a great day here at Grand Champions Polo Club. Again, a big thank you to all those who provided horses.
I don't know about you, but in that little video clip, I clearly see that Sophie went to stand on Harry's right-hand side while Meghan was on Harry's left-hand side. And in fact, Meghan forced Sophie to move to the left-hand side of Meghan. Now, I believe that the reason Meghan did that is because if the photo had been taken as it was originally, with Sophie and Harry holding the two sides of the polo cup, Meghan could feasibly, and likely would have frequently, been cropped out of the photo. Not because it's Megsey, but because common sense says the polo cup winner, recipient, and the head of the charity are the two that should be a part of that moment. To be quite honest, Meghan had no business being on that stage or a part of this moment. But what we are reading from certain Megsey sponsored tabloids, I don't know how else to say it, from her Sussex PR machine, as Dr. Sophie put it, is quite a bit different. So let's look at what Us Weekly says about this incident. Us Weekly, in video footage which circulated online at the time, the two women had a seemingly uncomfortable exchange while posing for a photo with Harry. Dr. Sophie seemed to try and position herself between Meghan and Harry for the photo, but the couple didn't move. Now, at what point in time was Dr. Sophie trying to go in between Harry and Meghan? She was on his right side. Meghan was on Harry's left side. That would mean Dr. Sophie was trying to position herself on Harry's left-hand side in order to be in between Meghan and Harry. At no point in time did she do that. That's a complete alteration. It's a lie. It's a flat-out lie. It was Meghan that was trying to position herself in between Harry and Dr. Sophie. And I find it very interesting that the only photo that accompanies this article, and when you look at it online, is this one, which is, of course, a totally different incident that has nothing to do with where there was a problem between Sophie and Meghan. And so, which I just find it to be almost an admission on the part of Us Weekly. Oh, look, we're going to show this photo, which has absolutely nothing to do with it, because we can't show anything that has to do with the actual time frame that we are discussing in this article, because we're lying to you. Imagine from Sophie's perspective, this kind of thing has probably been happening since the moment that Harry released that statement that he was stepping down, because that's what the Sussex PR machine does. It puts out these nonsensical narratives that gaslight the public and make Meghan look like the innocent victim in everything. Now, I have to give People magazine a little bit of credit, because at least they have gone for misdirection rather than necessarily outright lying. Even People magazine has some morals. I don't even know. But their headline reads, "Inside Meghan Markle's viral polo moment that sent to Bali chairwoman says escalated tensions with Prince Harry." And with this article, they at least give photos. They at least show the correct moment, as opposed to Us Weekly, which lies about what happened and then can't show any photographic evidence of it, because what they say happened never did. People magazine at least shows the correct moment. There is like a little video clip, nothing that, you haven't already seen, just showing the moment. And there is a difference in People magazine in that they don't outright lie, but they do very much so want to still put a Megsey spin on it, right? They can't completely, I guess, throw her out to the wind. Who knows? I mean, my issue with People magazine is that they misdirect. So you have here on March 26th, the Duke of Sussex and his Sentabali co-founder, Prince Sisio of Lesotho, announced their departure as patrons of the charity they founded in 2006 to honor their late mothers. Now that right there is problem number one, because why is every article saying, oh, this was founded in honor of their late mothers? Why are we reminded of how this was founded in Diana's honor, rather than each one of these articles taking this opportunity to actually discuss the cause that they were supporting? Why aren't we hearing about what Sentabali does instead of the reminder that it was founded for Princess Diana to make us feel guilty and to make us think that Harry really cares? Do you know what I'm saying? It should be all this publicity should be at the least good for the charity because it shows the cause that they are fighting for. And not one of these articles are mentioning it. News sent shockwaves amid reports of internal turmoil and financial struggles within the organization. Dr. Sophie claims her dispute with Harry began in April 2024, when she refused his team's request to publicly defend Meghan Markle after an awkward on-stage exchange led to negative media coverage. Now, my issue here is, yes, Dr. Sophie did say that things came to a head and there was some sort of catalyst to her issues with Harry because of this polo event. But she didn't really say that it was because of this photo situation. She said it went back to when Harry started causing problems for the polo event. And she said this was amid already having issues within the charity from the time she first took over, and she looked at the financials and realized that there were issues in the organization that no one was willing to address. So I think it's disingenuous of People magazine to say that, the polo tournament was the start of the issues. To me, that was the one that made the issues public. And that was the one that Sophie realized that she was getting retaliation for. But the issues in the organization, according to Sophie, started long earlier. Dr. Sophie claimed that the photo moment with Meghan sparked tensions with Prince Harry, which later escalated. According to her, the Duke of Sussex urged her to publicly address the incident, but she refused. I said, no, we are not setting a precedent by which we become an extension of the Sussex PR machine. Which, I have to say, Dr. Sophie is spot on right about that. But also, the issue was that later caused retaliation on Harry's part, because Harry didn't like the fact that his wife was getting bashed and Dr. Sophie wasn't willing to stop it or change it. But he also isn't realizing that when the First Lady of Nigeria came out and said, no, I wasn't referring to Meghan, did that change anybody who already believed that Meghan was the problem? Did that change any of their perception? No. None of them. So what Sophie did didn't change anything, and it was the right move. No, Sentabali shouldn't become a part of their PR machine. No, saying anything wasn't going to change the perception. So what she did was the right course of action, but Harry refused to acknowledge that. And he still refuses to acknowledge that. Because if he acknowledged that, he would have listened to what Sophie said on that interview on, Sky News with Trevor, whatever it was. If Harry was capable of seeing that she made the right decision, he'd be changing his course of action at this point. But he isn't. Instead, what does Harry do? He has his best friend come out and say, Chairwoman of Sentabali was jealous of Meghan Markle as she was no longer the most important woman of color on stage. Dr. Sophie has been accused by Harry's school pal of launching a hostile takeover of his charity after the trustees tried to force her out of the voluntary role. Now, interestingly enough, isn't that what Lady C said was happening? I mean, I heard her on Dan Wooten go through and say, listen, this is retaliation by Dr. Sophie. And she said it all in a very positive manner and defending Dr. Sophie for the fact. But Lady C was so determined to blame it on Meghan Markle that what ended up happening is she gave a perfect narrative and a defense for Harry to come out and say, well, see, this is all just jealousy. Whereas Lady C was saying it was retaliation, Harry's saying it's jealousy. Either way, neither of which make Dr. Sophie look good. Because in the end, it had nothing to do with any of that. She's far too professional to allow that to be the case. Instead, she's got the receipts that this was not about this stupid event. This was about mismanagement going from the get-go of her taking over as the chairperson of this charity and this organization. And if you want to know what I think the reason is for the way that Lady C has decided to spin this narrative, a good place to start would probably be with my conversation with JamScam. We had a great conversation, and if you haven't watched it, I do urge you to do so, because the more things happen, the more I kind of go back and say, we were kind of right. And you can get more on that also in the York Files Mega. And JamScam and I do have more to say on that. JamScam's in the bit of a transition, but once he is settled, we are going to go back to that because there is more that we do have to say about that whole situation. And speaking of the Yorks, I find it very interesting that this article is coming out. This has Meghan Markle written all over it. Look at the headline. Princess Beatrice risks turning into Meghan Markle as King's niece releases new baby shower range. Liz Jones says the latest venture by Prince Andrew's daughter is a little too Marie Antoinette for my taste, as she asks what royal patrons really do for all the good causes that they support. Now, my issue with this article is it's very misleading. And that's why I think it comes from Meghan. What you have here is essentially more Meghan clapback of saying, other royals do it, so why can't I? And, you know, people are complaining about, as ever, well, Beatrice has a baby shower line. Well, let's look into this a little bit. A leading commentator has warned Princess Beatrice she risks becoming a little too Meghan-esque after she wrote about the premature birth of her second daughter. Prince Andrew's daughter has also launched a baby shower collection of items with her friend Alice Naylor Leland. Well, doesn't that sound like Beatrice is doing the exact same thing as Megsey? Yeah, it does. Only not in the headline is the reality of this situation. And I mean, I'm no real big fan of the Yorks, so I'm not going to defend them unless they deserve it. And in this case, Beatrice doesn't deserve this type of an attack, because the absolute difference is, writing on Instagram, Naylor Leland said, "It has been both a pleasure and a great honor working with my dear friend, Princess Beatrice, on our new baby shower collection in aid of a charity. It's the Atborn charity. I am so proud of the awareness Beatrice has brought to premature birth, and I'm delighted we were able to create this together, celebrating both motherhood and friendship, with the proceeds benefiting a charity." So Princess Beatrice isn't putting this money into her pocket like Meghan is, and that is the difference. And it's a subtle difference that Meghan will probably never be able to understand or comprehend, because to her, making money is making money. But she doesn't understand that this is not a commercial venture, at least not for Beatrice. I mean, no doubt, whatever company it is that's supporting this, you know, part of the proceeds go to the charity and someone else is making money. Probably. But Beatrice isn't one of them. And that's the difference that Meghan can't seem to understand. And that's why I don't understand the criticism that Beatrice is getting. But regardless, this is not the same situation as what Megsey is doing. It just isn't. Anyone who already has seen this, you know, I am not one to defend Agent Orange. So if Agent Orange if I'm giving that family credit, you know it's probably deserved, because I wouldn't if I could avoid it. Of course, we also have the usual suspects, the usual Sussex Squad suspects coming out and taking shots, this time at Dr. Sophie. And beyond the fact that their hypocrisy is just like oozing out of their pores, it's the ridiculousness that they are following along with the lies that are being told about this whole incident. Well, I guess what am I saying? I shouldn't be surprised, right? But one thing that did surprise me is Dr. Shouty Shola. She has surfaced with her opinion, and let's go ahead and listen to it.
I'm talking to that man in the mirror, oh yeah. Now I'm asking him to change his ways, yeah, yeah. Now, I don't know Sophie Chadawunka personally. She's the chair of Santa Bala, the charity that Prince Harry and Princess started 20 years ago. But whenever I hear a woman, particularly a black woman, being depicted as the problem or the difficult one, my guard is up. I'm literally ready to tie my wrapper around my waist, because how is she the problem?
Today, I seem to be all about giving credit where credit is due. And I will give Shouty Shola credit. At least her presentation in this instance, it's a reasonable presentation. She thought through some things. I may not agree with her position, but for once I can actually listen to her position without just my ears bleeding. So I give her credit for that. Now, as for her position...
Now, if it's proven as fact, no wahala. But until then, I don't accept it at face value. Sophie Chadawunka reports the Board of Trustees who hired her to the Charity Commission and has filed a lawsuit against them. The allegations are of abuse of power, weak governance, bullying, harassment, misogyny, amongst others. And she has placed Prince Harry at the center of her allegations.
What you're essentially saying is that the Duke of Sussex is guilty of harassment and bullying and improper conduct in the governance of a charity.
Well, let me put it to you this way. I'm going to give you a really good example. The only reason I'm here, Trevor, is because at some point on Tuesday, Prince Harry authorized the release of a damaging piece of news to the outside world without informing me, or my country directors, or my executive director. And can you imagine what that attack has done for me, on me, and the 540 individuals in the Centre Valley organizations and their family? That is an example of harassment and bullying at scale. And so if the world didn't want to believe that there's such a thing as bullying, this unleashing of the Sussex machine on me and the 540 employees at Centre Valley who received this and have had to defend it.
Now, there is actually a part of me that feels a bit bad for Shouty Shola. I believe that her gut instinct is absolutely to support Dr. Sophie. And I think this is why it took her a few days to come out with an actual statement. Her gut is to support Dr. Sophie, but she's the part of the Sussex PR machine. And so she has to find a way to not outright say Sophie's lying, because she doesn't want to say that. But at the same time, she has to, walk that tightrope so that no one can, quote her down the road if it turns out that Harry is the complete shit that we know he is. And so she's trying very hard to be diplomatic and to leave herself a lot of wiggle room. But one thing that she can kind of do is give her spin to it with her expressions and her doubt, the way she's giving her facial reactions, which are not things that can be quoted and necessarily thrown back at her, because all she's doing is giving an expression. she's playing a very difficult game, and I'm going to give her props for that. But we all know that in her heart of hearts, she wants to take Dr. Sophie's side, and she's pretty pissed that she has to defend Harry.
Now, this entire framing is a tad intellectually disingenuous to me, because how is a public statement of Prince Harry and Princess an example of bullying and harassment on a scale when you, Sophie, put this out in the public domain first? Yeah, your report against the Board of Trustees at the Charity Commission is in the public domain. Your lawsuit against the Board of Trustees at the High Court is in the public domain. How else are Prince Harry and Princess meant to respond to your public actions? Except by responding with a public statement. Can you see that? I think you may have other examples, so dig deep, because this right here isn't it. Fascinating the way Sophie uses words like my country director, my executive director, because I'm thinking, girl, you're the chair. We all know the role of a chair, do you? Because you're not the CEO who runs the daily operations of the charity. The CEO would have country directors, executive directors, yada yada.
Does anybody else get the feeling that Shady's a little pissed off that she has to defend this lily white prince? There's a little bit of resentment in her tone. She got into this to defend the oppressed black woman, not this lily white prince. She's not happy that she has to be out here doing this.
So why are you talking like you're the CEO? Why are you talking like you own the place? The language smacks of a hostile takeover, in my humble opinion. Equally fascinating is how Sophie frames this as an attack on the employees. Now, we all know the employees are not at the center of the altercation between the founders, trustees, and chair. So drawing the employees into this, to me, is a way of shaping the court of public opinion in her favor. I'm not sure it will do that though, because quite frankly, anyone should be able to see through this. And when asked if Prince Harry is misogynist to her, she said no.
You talked about misogyny. Let's be frank. Are you saying that the misogyny stems from Prince Harry himself and his associates?
I would actually say my experience is Prince Harry himself. Fantastic, actually. We had a great relationship. But there are some individuals on the board who, quite frankly, did not treat me in the way that they would have treated the prior chair.
And herein lies the crux of my reaction to Sophie Chadoruka's TV interview, because we know this TV interview is the court of public opinion where she presents her allegations against Prince Harry, bearing in mind that her allegations against the Board of Trustees are being addressed by the Charity Commission and the High Court, and I hope they get the seriousness and rigor required. But in the court of public opinion, no rules apply. It's a jungle out there, right? And I just think after watching the whole interview from start to finish, I did not find it compelling or persuasive. That doesn't mean I don't believe her or I believe her. That has jack all to do with it. It's just the same as I said at the start of this video. If I am not going to accept that she's the problem at face value without compelling evidence, I am not going to say I found this TV interview compelling when I didn't. Now, when Sophie Chadoruka talks about this whole polo debacle, I have to say I found that really annoying. Are you telling me after people worked their butts off, negotiated, secured the location, did all of that, they now had to cancel it a month before because Harry had a Netflix show? Now, that would piss me the hell off, because that's just disrespectful of people's efforts if it happened the way she said it did. But I have to say, even that does not sound to me like a fundamental crack that should lead to irreconcilable differences, especially since she said they had, a great relationship. And then she talks about Prince Harry being a financial risk because some donors no longer wanted to donate because he had left royal family and there were all this drama around him. I say, if they don't want to donate, let them walk out the door. When one door closes, God will open another one. Simple. I'm talking to that man in the mirror.
In my opinion, Shouty left herself enough wiggle room there that should things turn really south, she's going to bail in a heartbeat. And she won't have said anything she can't kind of take back. So we'll see how that plays out. And obviously we still have Harry's court case going on. So between the court case, I almost wonder if what's the biggest distraction? What's the event that they're trying to distract from? Which are the distractions and which is the event? I think that even the court case is kind of intended to be a distraction from the sent to Bali thing. I think this is the big picture. Although, as we know, if Harry does get if he does win the appeal and he does get the court case and he gets that IPP status back, anything that's happening here becomes null and void, becomes a moot point. So even though talking about that at this point could be a distraction to keep, the press on this sent to Bali thing down a little bit, the real issue would then be the court case. So we're watching it all, and we'll see where it goes. I mean, I still have a very strong suspicion, even though we have Ian Rawlinson out there defending Sophie and her actions with sent to Bali. I'm very worried that Charles is going to protect Harry in the end. And not so much to protect Harry, but to protect his own image, his own legacy, and the monarchy. A prodigal son, a prodigal prince, will always be better for Charles' image than a disgraced one. And all of you people that are in the UK that are saying, no, Charles would never defend Harry, please tell me down in the comments what's going to happen if he does. That's what I want to know. What's going to happen if Charles goes down that route? Will the royal supporters pull their support? Because they're all telling me Charles won't do it, which is good. I hope not. But what I want to hear is what the reaction will be if he tries. So, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you all have a great day, filled with love, laughter, and of course, dancing.
Dancing in